This is Lisa from Mobile Tech Review, and today we're going to look at the Verizon wireless version of the BlackBerry Z10. Pretty much the same thing that we've said before, but comes in white, a little bit different. Different network, obviously, CDMA, Verizon LTE. We're going to look at it now. So here it is, the BlackBerry Z10 on Verizon Wireless. Obviously, we have the white version here. That's what's special. For your Verizon folks, you have your choice of white or black. Black we've seen before. Verizon logo up top. They never miss an opportunity to brand, do they? At least it's not too huge. Of course, there's no way they could have made it huge, given how small this bezel is right here. And on the back, we have the Verizon logo. Much like what we saw with AT&T, they put their AT&T logo down there for the AT&T version, so pretty much the same. I like it a lot in white. It looks a little different. Sure, there's a lot of black phones on the market. That's part of it, but it kind of looks a little like the HTC One in silver, I have to say, which is a very light-colored phone. Clean lines, it accentuates that there's really no bezel on the sides per se, just top and bottom like that. And all the controls and things are the same. We have our micro USB, our micro HDMI over here. Back, same kind of textured plastic, removable back. Excellent right there. BlackBerry logo, 8 megapixel camera with LED flash. Up top, our 3.5mm audio jack, power button, microphone hole. And on this side, our power buttons and our playback center control. And if you want to rip off the back, you just grab right over here, giving you glorious access to the battery. 1800 milliamp battery, just like the overseas version, just like the AT&T and T-Mobile versions. Micro SIM card slot with our Verizon SIM in there. And micro SD card slot, compatible with up to SDXC high-capacity cards. Now, interesting thing, Verizon phones, they've been shipping as global phones for a while now. They're not just CDMA phones like they used to be with Verizon LTE. They also do GSM and 3G. This is unlocked, too, like a lot of recent Verizon phones. So I did put my AT&T SIM in here, but what's the difference? The number of cell radios is limited in this. Either it actually has different cell radios, or the software is preventing you from using AT&T 3G or T-Mobile 3G on this. So there's really not much of a point for buying the Verizon version if you actually want to use this on another carrier's network in the United States. In terms of what you get in the box, Verizon likes black boxes. Nothing too fancy here, though. Certainly not any worse looking than the AT&T version, which is not very exciting at all. In terms of packaging, that is, not the phone. A little caddy that holds your phone. Rip this out, and you've got your little getting started guide and stuff inside of here. Of course, your SIM card, which may be pre-installed. Little square charger, the kind that BlackBerry's been using for a while now. It looks a lot like the iPhone charger. We'll take a look at that. And this is a standard 5-volt charger, 850 milliamps. With our BlackBerries, we've been using a variety of chargers, though, some for our Samsung Galaxy Note 2. We've used up to 2 amp chargers if you're in a hurry to charge it up. And it charges quickly, this phone in general, which is really nice. Compared to the HTC One X, for example, that takes forever to charge, this guy goes from 50% to full in just a little over an hour, which is really handy on the road. Also in the box, you get your USB cable that we mentioned. And that's it. No headphones in here, no earbuds. But you're not missing out much because the earbuds that are included with the international version, they're not really stellar anyway. And here, so you can see what it looks like in black, this is actually the AT&T version right here, but you get the idea. Pretty much the same experience going on. And it just depends on whether you like the black or the white on the phone. One thing I have noticed is the display is a little bit warmer. That is, whites are a little bit yellow on our Verizon model. Not hideously yellow or anything like that, but just a little bit warmer. No, I don't know if every Verizon phone is going to be that way. It could just be that BlackBerry is using several display suppliers for the displays. Now, if we take a look at the software version here, you can see we're running 10.0.9.422, which is an older version number than the one on AT&T and the Canadian version. This is a little bit odd, but nonetheless, they may be using a somewhat different versioning system for the CDMA model of this, so I wouldn't take that too seriously. One thing for sure, with that latest BlackBerry OS version that we now have on the AT&T version and on the unlocked overseas version, is battery life improved greatly. They had like 60 improvements to improve battery life. Well, the Verizon version, even though it seems to have an older software version number, has awesome battery life. It's actually been outlasting my GSM version of the BlackBerry Z10 by a bit. I'd say about up to an hour longer run times, and particularly it's really good on standby, so go figure. In terms of specs, you're looking at the exact same thing as the previous BlackBerry that we reviewed, so we're not going to go into super detail here because these are known quantities. 1.5 gigahertz dual-core Snapdragon, 16 gigs of internal storage, IPS display, really lovely, very good viewing angles, 1280 by 768 resolution, so you have high pixel density there. Very nice looking display, very vibrant. Even when you turn it at an angle, it still remains visible, which is nice. Has the same ambient light sensor too going on, which I like ambient light sensors just fine as long as they work well, but one thing is you can't actually turn it off, which can be a little bit annoying. The UI is BlackBerry OS 10, so you get your palette of icons over here. And while we're looking at those icons, let's just take a look. There's like almost no Verizon software in here. Every US carrier version we've looked at has been a very clean installation with few third-party or carrier add-ons here. So all this is the standard stuff that you get with the Z10, no matter who you get it from. So you get Dropbox integration, you get Box, you get LinkedIn, you get Twitter, you get Facebook, Calendar, of course, all your PIM applications are in there. My Verizon from Verizon Wireless right here for your account management. Their Backup Plus for contacts is on here. No VZ Navigator. That's almost a sad thing in this case because the BlackBerry Maps, as we've covered, is not the most exciting mapping solution. Basically, it's 2D maps unless you're actually in navigation, and you can use 3D if you want, and just no POIs. It does have spoken directions, though. It does get the job done. We have not had any problems with it giving us anything other than good directions, so it's been fine there. And we also have an icon for Bing because Verizon has a strong relationship with Microsoft now to promote Bing, and we've got Slacker Radio on here. Of course, you can install your own software, and if you're a little more technically inclined, shall we say, you can put on Android applications. Now I've switched over to my Z10 here. You can do the same thing there just so you can see. Netflix is not available for BlackBerry yet I have it here. This is actually Google Navigation. This is the full version of Evernote instead of the one that's integrated into the BlackBerry operating system. This is to show that you can indeed load Android applications. Now the drawback is some of these heavier weight applications that are more demanding, say like Netflix, they can be a bit slower to run because you're running a virtual machine or emulator on the BlackBerry that makes it act like an Android, think like an Android, but it's still not an Android. But you can do it, and you can download bar files from some websites and make them available. That's the installation format that BlackBerry accepts. Or, again, if you're more technical and you have access to an Android device, you can extract your own APK files, sign them, turn them into bar files, and transfer them. That all made little or no sense to you, don't worry about it. You don't have to do it. Android applications, otherwise, are not for you. That said, developers can port their Android applications themselves, and some of the applications that are in the still fledgling BlackBerry World App Store, they are ports of Android applications, so some of them occasionally can run a little bit slow. Now, if it's this lighter weight app, it's fine, but if it's something like a game, sometimes you'll see fluctuating frame rates and that kind of thing. So we hope that developers really get into BlackBerry development and actually do native applications for best performance. And for those of you who haven't watched our previous Z10 video review, will just give you a little bit more on that multitasking. You can see any application you have running. You can have quite a few of these going at the same time. Get minimized to little windows when you swipe up. Very gesture-based OS, as you know. So I'm swiping between these modes just by using, gestures. And if I tap on this, there it is. And if I swipe up from the bezel, there it goes back over here again. So you can have applications running, and often they'll keep updating. Now, memory management sometimes kicks in and stops them from updating, but you can keep several things alive, and the operating system stays fast and smooth. And here we have the BlackBerry Hub, one of my favorite features. This puts everything together. I have Facebook notifications set up. You can set up Twitter. You'll also get information about any apps that are ready for update on BlackBerry World, calls that you made if your time zone changed, appointments, all that stuff is there. So really nicely done, and you get out of it just by swiping that way again. And you work from right in here. If you want to respond to a Facebook message or a Twitter message or even an email, you do it just by typing in here and replying, which is a little bit weird for those of us who are used to BlackBerry's having, a little email icon for every single email account that you got installed here. Not the way it works here. Of course, we have our BBM over here, which works like real-time chat these days. Pretty cool stuff going on. BlackBerry, remember, has Evernote integration. Also nice, since Evernote's very popular. And we have music and video players, and we demoed those in our last Z10 demo, so we're not going to show you that again. But suffice to say that it's very capable. It can play 1080p video. Awesome, because it has that micro HDMI port. You'd like to output 1080p video, wouldn't you? Sound quality is just fine. It's moderately loud phone, not super duper loud. Call quality is good. Now I found the AT&T version to be a little bit better, and here's what our dialer looks like. It's not going to change from carrier to carrier. Calls were certainly loud and clear enough. A little bit sharper on AT&T, but I would say that probably has to do with the quality of the network in our area. AT&T just happens to have a little bit better coverage. In terms of reception, good LTE reception, good 1X reception, and EV reception as well. We're pretty well blanketed in LTE here for 4G. Data speeds have been excellent so far. We actually went to the speedtest.net website, and we got 22 megabit per second down on average and 6 up. Now, 6 up isn't that fast, but most carriers these days are giving you faster download speeds relative to upload because they figure mostly you are going to be downloading stuff. So certainly great for streaming video. You can do that with the little YouTube mobile app, which is actually just an icon to the YouTube mobile site to stream video. And if you're like me and you side-loaded Netflix, well, then you've got Netflix as well. And since it supports Adobe Flash, sites that use Adobe Flash for video actually work here, and they work pretty well on the BlackBerry Z10. Not too sluggish, not too painful to control. So that's nice. And again, the other features on the phone really are the same as the last Z10. We covered 8 megapixel camera with LED flash on the back and shoot 1080p video. Pretty good camera. Software needs some improvements, I think, really to speed up focusing and sharpness. It does have that neat feature where you can take several frames and it picks out the frames where each of your friends' faces are focused best and creates one composite image. And I've discovered that's a good thing because this doesn't always focus as well as I would have liked. But I'm sure that can be fixed with some software updates. And again, battery life, as I mentioned, so far the best on the Verizon version of this. We've been quite pleased. Easily, I've made it through the day with moderate use, really into the second day before having to charge it. With heavy use, I still found that I could certainly make it home from work without having drained the battery. Good thing about this guy, of course, is the fact that you can swap in a new battery since we can yank that back cover off. Good times there. Phone has dual-band Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, and it has NFC as well, the NFC plate under the back cover. So that's the BlackBerry Z10 on Verizon Wireless, available now, $199 on contract. Certainly if you're a BlackBerry person, you're going to be thrilled. Modern OS, but many of the creature comforts you've expected in terms of stable, robust operating system, really good integrated messaging, all that stuff is right here. Nice security on it. And if you're somebody who's been using Android or iPhone, you just want to try something different, that's also appealing. At 4.2 inches, the size is just a little bit bigger than the iPhone 5, so it doesn't feel uncomfortably large. It's also nice for those of you who hate giant phones. And for those of you who are considering the iPhone 5 and the BlackBerry, maybe you like smaller phones, for example, and robust operating systems, here you go, iPhone 5. Next to it, you can see they're pretty close in size. Obviously, the iPhone 5 is going to be a little bit smaller, particularly in height. And if we take a look at the back, well, this is the black one, no kidding. And nice metal over here, very pretty. Here we get plastic. But we fight back here with the fact that we can take this cover off, put it in an SD card, and we can actually remove the battery. So that's the Verizon BlackBerry Z10, available now for $199 on contract. Certainly if you're a BlackBerry fan, you're going to like this phone, I think. And even if you're not, you're looking for something a little different, something that's still pocketable, definitely a nice phone. I'm Lisa from Mobile Tech Review. Visit our website for the full review of the BlackBerry Z10. And don't forget to hit that like button.